It just had to be this way. It was always going to go 7. The writing was on the wall, and now it's do or die. Winner take all, and advances to face the Minnesota Timberwolves in a Western Conference Finals for the ages. How did the Nuggets survive Game 6? What did they do that gives me hope for Game 7? And what troubling news has Denver fans worried as we prepare to go into OKC and in 24 hours from now hopefully have the result that we're looking for? We'll talk about it all here in the Mile High Nugget Mine. How's it going, guys? My name is Alex. I go by 5280 Nugget Mine on Twitter and Mile High Nugget Mine here on YouTube. And what a Game 6 we were treated to. I think it would be remiss to say that I wasn't nervous going into it. I did predict that the Nuggets would win. I did predict that we'd be here talking about a Game 7. I just didn't think it would look the way that this game ended up looking. We'll go through most of Game 6 here. I call these my slept on it takes. I would have done this yesterday, but I had a couple of graduations to get to and just didn't have time. But I think there's a couple of things that really stand out in that game. The obvious one being Julian Strawther providing the spark that I think that the Nuggets have been missing off the bench for, I'd say, the past 3 games. You had an opportunity to win multiple of those games, just didn't have enough firepower or punch to extend those leads. And with Julian Strawther doing what he did last game, you'd hope that that's a trend that can continue moving forward. So Julian's probably the biggest takeaway. You just look at it and you say, man, maybe Adelman should have played him before. I think he played him at just the right time. You gave him the confidence that he needs moving forward, that he could maybe just hit a 3 or 2 in Game 7 that breaks the dam for the Nuggets and gives them an opportunity to get out of OKC with a win. Another one of my huge takeaways from that game is the excellence of Nikola Jokic. It seems like he's figured it out again. We talk about how he's a supercomputer, how it just takes a matter of time before he figures your defense out. It took a little longer than what we're used to, but Nikola Jokic appears to have figured out the OKC defense and is carving it up once again. Great sign for the Nuggets. But with every positive, there has to be a few negatives. I think one of the biggest negatives that I saw in that last game was just how... Look, the Westbrook minutes will be the Westbrook minutes. I just think this is the first time you look at some of those minutes and go, man, that really hurt Denver. I think overall Westbrook's been a positive in these playoffs, and you look at him and you think you probably wouldn't be in this second round situation if it wasn't for Russell Westbrook with his phenomenal play in the first round. He had a couple good 20-point games. His defense and the energy that he brings off the bench is truly unmatchable. But to that last game, you can just point at that first stint that he had and go, that almost cost us this game. We'll talk about that later as I kind of do. I typically do rapid fire breakdowns, or want to do rapid fire breakdowns after games. Like I said yesterday, I just wasn't able to do it. So I guess we'll do a brief rapid fire breakdown. That first quarter, the Denver Nuggets just came out firing. They're the ones that forced the early timeout from OKC. Buildings rocking. Everything looks great, and you go to your typical rotation, about 2 minutes left. Some of your bench players start trickling in. From that moment on, Russell Westbrook enters the game, and he just commits turnover after turnover after turnover. None of them particularly looked great either. You guys know at this point what the Russell Westbrook minutes will look like. I'll pull some of those up right now. So you can see little under 2 minutes left. Denver's got a comfortable lead.
Here's Jokic driving, swings
Westbrook,
it, trying to
just
get it back.
forcing
The
a pass
by
that
Westbrook,
isn't there.
broken up beautifully by Jalen Williams.
We got to mute that for you. But yeah, if just forcing a pass that isn't there. A couple of plays later. I don't know. The intent is probably to get that to Peyton Watson, but you're doing that while moving. You set them up for the break, and now the lead that you had at 10 just shrinks before going into half. Steps out of bounds. This was just a horrendous stretch of basketball from Russell Westbrook. And you just look at this and you go, that could have been a nail in the coffin kind of for Denver early. Thankfully, not the case, but it's something to look out for. Is that going to be a trend in Game 7? Or has he seen the tape? Is he aware of his mistakes, and is he going to try to avoid those in a must-win game? I don't know. I hope so. I think he's, as the series gone on, been better at understanding what his team needs from this game or this particular series. Really, all we need from Russell Westbrook is that high-level defense, maybe a corner three or two, and then just not turning the ball over. Those are the three things. If I'm Russell Westbrook, that's all I'm trying to do. If we keep on going in this fast breakdown, if you will, the rapid-fire breakdown of the game, there was, I'd want to say, maybe 2 minutes left in the second. SGA gets called for his 4th foul in the first half, has to sit. The Nuggets were down 12 at this point, I believe. And from that point on, the Nuggets just pounced and they tied the game up, going on a 12-0 run. And then with a couple seconds left, Lou Dort hits a 3 out of the corner. MPJ a little late to contest. And you only go down 3 going into halftime, which, given the trend of the game before that 4th SGA foul, is something you take every single day of the week. That third quarter was a bit of a back and forth, and then I think MPJ and Jamal Murray that quarter did a good job answering the big threes that OKC was hitting, just keeping the game tied or just out of reach by a basket or two. And then Julian Strawther happened. In the last video that I did, I said, look, if Julian gets you a 3 or 2, you're happy. Well, how about a couple of threes? How about some phenomenal defense? How about 15 points coming off the bench? Julian Strawther, have yourself a day. Again, not something that I would have predicted coming into this game. The ebbs and flows of a playoff series truly are weird, where one game a player doesn't even get minutes, and the next game he has darn near 20, essentially winning you this game. The game was back and forth for a while, and then his 8-0 run by himself kind of put Denver over the top and made it really hard for OKC to come back. Now, if it wasn't for Denver's inability to hold on to the ball late, this is probably more of a blowout than what the actual final box score shows. Just Denver, it really falls into these traps where it feels like right at the top of the key, or just as they're getting the ball in, there's 3 people surrounding one guard, and they panic, and it's hard for them to get the ball to the next place. To OKC's credit, they do a really good job at, forcing you to make that next pass. Are they fouling? Probably. But they have the benefit of the doubt now, given their reputation. That's just how it works in the NBA, like it or hate it. But they do a really good job at crowding you at the point of attack there, or just making it almost impossible for you to find the next person to pass it to without panicking. They took full advantage of that, and they got a couple of transition baskets. If you're the Denver Nuggets and you're the Denver fans, you're starting to get a little tight because you've gone into the past 2 fourth quarters with an 8-point lead and have seen it disappear off of really bad turnovers and giving OKC life when they didn't have any prior. And I'm going to shout out one particular play from Peyton Watson, who I thought was overall a positive. Really bad shooting night, but one play made it up in the best way possible, and that's a block that he got on Jalen Williams, who by all accounts should have had an easy basket. And this is just an athletic play from someone who just has a nose for blocking the ball. Another bad turnover there from, I think it was Russell Westbrook, lets Jalen Williams go by him and just swats it perfectly. That could have been a real momentum shifter. Look at where we're at right now, 93-86. Denver, before that, I think had at least a 12-point lead. Now you're seeing it slip again, just as you've had it happen before in games prior. That block right there was a huge momentum shifter and let you keep Nikola Jokic on the bench for probably another minute or two before you felt the need to, bring him back in. I know that was a lot of Game 6 stuff, but since I didn't get to do an actual breakdown on it, I guess I wanted to get my licks in on it. I thought it was an overall great game from the Denver Nuggets. They showed a lot of great things. They also showed a handful of worrying things in the turnovers. You're lucky that you're walking out of there with a win, but that was really close to Denver again throwing a game away because they couldn't hold on to a ball, or because they couldn't hold on to the ball, I should say. as many times as they needed to. Look, only 14 turnovers, but it feels like so many of them came just back to back to back, especially in the waning minutes of the first and the middle of the fourth. Just things you got to look out for. Take care of the basketball, especially when you're on the road. But it's a win, so that's just me complaining about small things. All right, let's talk about Game 7 a little bit. We all know the news. We're all pretty worried about it. Aaron Gordon, late in that fourth quarter, tries to make a play on a ball, and you see him tug at his hamstring, something that we all know he's been dealing with the majority of this season. And as you see him kind of waddle back, you have to kind of just hold your breath and hope that it was nothing too serious. I'll play the play, actually. I think I have it here. I think he has one turnover on the night. So he's trying to get the ball up because he doesn't want any of the guards to deal with it. Just puts it right in a good spot for Caruso to try to grab it. Tries to make a play on the ball, and right there you see him go for the hamstring. And I think everyone in the arena probably held their breath. He played out the rest of the game, but you could tell that it was bothering him. And we got the report yesterday that Aaron Gordon was doubtful to play in Game 7. Thankfully, today, we got some fantastic news, today being Saturday the 17th. I'm pre-recording this, obviously. We got some fantastic news that Aaron Gordon participated in all the walkthroughs on both sides, offense and defense, and was upgraded to questionable for Game 7. Look, unless a bus hits this man, knock on wood, there's no way that he's not playing in Game 7. And the only way he's coming out is if that hamstring legitimately tears. That's just the heart that he has. And I mean, look, I guess I didn't even bring it up. That was a flu game for Jamal Murray. That is the DNA of the Denver Nuggets. I put it out on Twitter, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Sometimes I question Jamal Murray just because sometimes it doesn't feel like he has the consistent effort that we would like on a night-to-night basis. And look, I'll show you the tweet because I mean this. Look, say what you will. Some nights the shots don't drop, but I will never question the gutsy nature of Jamal Murray. Look at my low engagements here. Real small time Nuggets influencer here. I'm never going to question the gutsy nature of Jamal Murray. That's just who he is. Got a messed up ankle? Doesn't matter. He's playing and he's scoring. Got the flu? Doesn't matter. He had fluids. He's good to go. And he plays through it, and he does fantastic. That's what we expect from Jamal Murray in the playoffs. Hell or high water, he is going to fight. That's the DNA of the Denver Nuggets. I fully expect Aaron Gordon to play tomorrow. Now, are some people going to have to maybe cover some of the areas where he might be a little slower getting to? Are we going to maybe be worried that they're going to try to, hunt mismatches or matchups on Aaron Gordon to force him to defend and maybe exert himself a little more? Look, it's all possible. Once you're hurt, anything can happen. And I think we saw last game that there's players who are ready to step up. It's scary that it's in a Game 7. It's scary that it's on the road. But look, if there's anything that these Denver Nuggets have, it's the makeup of a champion. And I think that'll show itself. Going through some more health and concerns going into that. Obviously, MPJ is still dealing with his shoulder. I don't know, because I'm not an insider. I wish I was. I don't know what the criteria is for that shot he's been getting for his shoulder. I don't know if there's a limit in terms of hours between shots, or if it's a day of thing. Regardless, we don't know what that shoulder's status is going to be going into Game 7. It's obviously still going to be bothering him. I just don't know if it's going to be bothering him to the extent that it does some games where he quite literally can't even get a shot up properly without him being in visible pain. And of course, Jamal Murray is still dealing with the flu, but now it's been a couple of days. I'm sure trainers have done everything in their power to bring him as close to 100%. Obviously, he won't be at 100%. No one fights the flu in 2 days and just kicks it. And maybe he did. I don't know how his body works, obviously. But there might still be a couple of lingering things. Other people need to step up and make sure that they're there to cover for him if he's a little slow on some defensive coverages. Really, I'm only worried on the defensive side of things. I think Jamal's going to score. It's just how much do you get beat one-on-one? How often are you having to foul or do something to stop people from blowing by you? Just things that OKC can probably try to go to, knowing that we're a little banged up on this side. But overall, the health thing going into this would be more concerning today if we were still in the Aaron Gordon's doubtful train and we didn't get such encouraging reports from David Adelman saying that he went through walkthroughs. And instead of being doubtful, he's questionable now. Great news for the Denver Nuggets. I picture our starting lineup being intact. Now, we move on to probably the scariest thing in a Game 7, and that is your role players. Your role players bailed you out Game 6. They bailed you out Game 6 at home. It's a cliche, but it's a cliche that's got proof behind it. Role players shoot better at home. Julian Strawther, you can't all of a sudden look to him and expect him to give you 15 points again. Like I said, you're happy if he gives you 2. But will the pressure of being in OKC, will the pressure of now we need you, kid, will that get to him? Christian Brown hit a couple of threes, and he was very confident stepping into those threes. Are you going to walk in with the same confidence? Or are you going to be concerned that your shot may not fall early, and now you're scared to take shots, hesitating, making it easier for OKC to defend you? Michael Porter Jr., are you going to show up in general? It's horrible to say, but when I saw you got 10 points, I was like, thank goodness we won this game. The bar shouldn't be 10 points for Michael Porter Jr. I think he made a joke about it when someone was interviewing him after the game and was like, hey, you had a pretty good bounce back game. And he chuckled. He's like, yeah, 10 points. Yeah, I'm doing great. I don't need more. And I said, so we don't need more from NPJ other than hitting a couple of threes to keep the defense honest. Denver gets in trouble when the opposing team can literally just stack the paint because they're not afraid of a Michael Porter Jr. 3. They're not afraid of a Christian Brown 3. They should be afraid of an Aaron Gordon 3, but we don't know what his health looks like going into this game. Other people need to start making shots to keep them honest. That's the only way you can go in there and win this game. I'm not saying that they couldn't win it in a gritty fashion, but it gets very difficult for Denver to score, especially if you're Jokic, when the people around you aren't hitting shots at the volume that you need them to. That is reality. Let's see. Last game, they were 12 of 32, 37.5%. That's enough. That is enough to keep a team honest. You're darn near shooting 38%. That'll keep teams from kind of being dissuaded. Oh, should I help in? Should I not help in? And that bit of indecision is enough for Nikola Jokic to get an easy basket or find someone wide open underneath. Those are the things you're looking for. So yes, you need your role players to shine again. Can they? I hope so. I think so. I think Michael Porter Jr., he looks like he's feeling a little better, got a little more confidence in his shot. 4 of 9 last game. You're hovering at 50%. You probably needed to make one more 3 to make me feel really good going into this game. But if he pours in 10, 12 points, you're sitting in a good spot, and a couple threes on top of that, you're really sitting in a good spot. Christian Brown played phenomenal for you in Game 6. Can he do something similar on the road? He got a lot of good transition opportunities off of some really good defense from the team and him leaking out and Nikola Jokic finding him like he typically does. Can you do that again on the road? Is that something you can replicate? That's what I'm looking at. Russell Westbrook just needs to play better. I think he can. I just don't know if last game was a real, confidence or a demoralizing game, I should say, for Westbrook. I think the broadcast did a really good job at pointing out that early in that second quarter, when Christian Brown was checking back in, that typically is for a Julian Strawther or a Michael Porter Jr. It was for also Westbrook. And I guess he was pretty confused, like pointing to himself like, me? Coach, me? You're taking me out? Yeah, you were terrible. Shout out to David Adelman, by the way, for one, recognizing that you're playing bad, I'm not afraid to pull you, and then sticking with the hot hand late into that game, rather than saying we have an 8-point lead, I should probably put my vets out there to make sure that we don't make any mistakes. Just a small thing that I don't want to take shots at Michael Malone, because I actually love Michael Malone, and even though I was on the train of thought that he was going to be done no matter what at the end of this year, championship or not, I think he had a lot of flaws with his lineups, and one of those being over-reliant and not trusting some people, even if they were blazing hot, like Julian Strawther was last night, or a couple nights ago, I should say. So, in summary, your role players are going to have to be great. They can't be good, they have to be great. That's how you win on the road. That's how you secure a Game 7 win. I think there was a lot of good energy for the Denver Nuggets in that last game. Is it because of the home crowd, or is it something that they kind of found? Either way, it's something that you want to bottle up and bring with you. Julian Strawther, even if he goes 2 of 4, that's perfect. What more do you ask for? If Peyton Watson can splash in a 3, if Westbrook can splash in a 3 or 2, more importantly, if Michael Porter can get 3 threes, Christian Brown can knock down 2 threes, now you're cooking with grease. It's an oversimplification, I know, but these role players are going to be the deciding factor. And can you keep their role players from doing what they did to you in Game 5? You can't lose a fourth quarter because Lou Dort decides to hit, 2 of the biggest threes or 3 of the biggest threes of his entire career. You can't let Alex Caruso be wide open in the corner and nail a couple of dagger threes on you as well. Rotations are going to have to be a little crisper on the defensive side. Communication needs to stay at the level that it's been. And you need to maintain energy throughout every minute of the game. And that is on David Adelman to ensure that his team is fresh enough to go into the game with fresh enough legs to contest multiple shots, and to be there to make sure that that everyone knows where they need to be and can get there without having to, struggle or hesitate. Those are some of the big things to look out for. You do all of that, and you can sneak away and face what I would say at this point are your bitter rivals in the Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, let's do a couple of Game 7 predictions. Actually, before I do that, very rarely, and look, it's only been, I did it once, but I gave predictions. I gave a couple of betting predictions, and let's just say, I know no one listened, but if you did listen, I made you a couple bucks. Now, I didn't listen to myself, because why would I listen to myself? Come on, look at me. Let me see if I can pull up the video that I did and then find those exact bets just to give myself a small pat on the back. I may do bets for the next game as well, just to make sure. Let's see. This is great. Great work out of me not having this ready to go, or remembering at least the bets that I told myself that I should have people take.
3.5. Those are some of those.
The fact of the matter is,
some of those
assist bets or
props
correct.
that I would look at. Double doubles are funny. I don't know if I want to take anything in particular.
Hey, look,
I'd love to take Nikola Jokic triple double. I just don't know if he has the on player defense. One of the ones I've been having a lot of always in there getting a game parlay as well. Line win. A couple player props that I think are great to look at are Nikola Jokic and Russell Westbrook. Your threes tonight, I think it's good to look at Aaron Gordon, Alex Caruso. Your rebounding machine is Nikola Jokic, and someone that might be assisting left and right, Jalen Williams, Aaron Gordon. And if you're looking to be a party pooper, you might go under 8.5 on Nikola Jokic tonight.
All of that hit, except for Russell Westbrook points. I will not hold that one. I was wrong about that. But everything else in that hit. Nikola Jokic under 8.5 assists, Jalen Williams and Aaron Gordon over their 5.5 5.5 assists. I think even AG was like a 3.5 assists. Sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back when you get something right, because it rarely happens. All right, let's get into predictions. I think Game 7, like I've said, is a battle of your role players, but that doesn't mean that your stars get a break. They need to be stars. And I think Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray know how to play Game 7s better than anyone that's going to be on that floor, especially any of the Oklahoma City Thunder players. I think SGA's had one Game 7. The only other person that may have had a Game 7 is Alex Caruso, but I don't know if that championship run with the Lakers had any games go 7. Experience will matter so much in this game. You want to talk about a team that's been there, done that? It is the Denver Nuggets. I think I saw a stat in, I think it was 2019, 2020, and now in 2025. Both of their first round matchups have gone 7 games. This team loves Game 7s. They typically win in them, and sometimes you've seen them lose in them in heartbreaking fashion. I think Nikola Jokic is going to get off to a hot start. Jamal Murray will follow right behind. You're going to get a couple of threes from some of your role players. This one will be another beat 'em up, knock 'em down type of game. You need one third quarter explosion, maybe even a fourth quarter explosion from one of your role players, and you can put this baby to bed. The only thing that makes me hesitate outright, like flat picking the Nuggets, is that you're on the road and this building rocks. And this team does a really good job at feeding off of it. And the way that you turn the ball over or can turn the ball over is worrying. I know the Denver Nuggets' path to success is simply just play through your stars, hit shots when you're open, and don't turn the ball over. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, their path to success is really just don't beat yourselves. But there is no evidence to say that they won't do that. I hate being a homer when I'm trying to kind of break things down in a more, I guess, serious manner. But I look at this game and I can't help but feel confident that the Denver Nuggets will know how to shut the door on this game. It's hard not to feel confident that Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are going to put this team on their back, and when people are open, they're going to nail their threes. You should have won Game 5. And that's something that you can build off of. You did fantastic in Game 6. You don't look at this Oklahoma City Thunder team anymore and go, oh man, yeah, this is impossible for Denver to win. Denver can win. I think Denver will win. I keep joking that I don't want to stress anymore. I'm done with stressing. Put me out of my misery and let's just all go to Cancun. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'm going to be stressing for a few more weeks. I'm going to get Denver to win this game. I'm going to have Denver winning late in the fourth. They'll pull away. I think they'll be up 6 with about, let's call it, a minute left. Play the foul game. You walk out of OKC. As long as you make your free throws, and I think Denver will. You walk out of OKC with a 6 to 8 point win, and you get ready to host your bitter rivals and the team that we all know was designed to defeat you in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Scary stuff. I'll be stressing with all of you. I have to work in the morning, but I should be home in time for the entirety of the game. If I have hair right now, it might be gone by the end of that game. Follow me on Twitter. I'll be tweeting the entire game, keeping up with the score, making funny jokes, for whatever is, kind of irking me. I think I was really mad at Westbrook, and definitely wasn't. I'm a snarky. I'm a snarky human. After Westbrook played some horrendous minutes, said, "Hey, thanks for those horrible minutes, Westbrook. I didn't want momentum in this game anyway." Snarky, but I hide my nervousness with humor. Am I the funniest person? No. But that's the way that we cope. Guys, this has been a preview of Game 7, a quick recap of Game 6. Tomorrow will be stressful. Tomorrow may be painful. Regardless, if this is this core's last dance, if this is truly the last time that we'll see this core and this unit play basketball together, let's make it a good one. Let's make it a fun one. Let's make it one to remember. This has been Alex from the Mile High Nugget Mine, signing off.